there's going to be like so many guys watching this video that want to get into the fitness industry this year. This is their year where they want to do what Rob and Joe are doing. So given the current trends, like what you're seeing is working right now, because you do pay good attention to it, as much as you like to pretend you're disinterested, you do analyze it. What is your advice for them lads?
I think my first advice would be pick a platform, right? Because we were from a generation where you didn't have to put that much effort in. Actually, that's the cold hard truth. We're actually not that talented, man.
No,
you just didn't
I
have
won
to
by
put,
default. I'm
we were
Ireland's
just
biggest health and fitness YouTuber, but like you can ask ChatGPT, and that is not impressive. It's because no one else showed up at the race. It's broken. There's an error in the mainframe.
That's it. We're from that era where you could just throw a YouTube video up, stick a picture on Instagram, you'd be great, right? You'd be sweet, and you'd kind of grow on both platforms, and it'd be fine. Right now, that is really too high a maintenance of an entry point, right? If you want to, you can get to a point where you've got videographers and editors, and you're doing all this, and you run quite a scheduled, timetable of where you're, this day I'm doing this content, this day I'm doing that content, and maybe you can, grow on all or many platforms simultaneously, right? But that's probably, you need some money to do that. It's probably a little bit further down the line.
Yep.
B, a lot of people do that and then find, hang on a minute, this is a bit shit. I'm not enjoying it because now I'm just a weird content machine who's got to constantly output things, which I don't think is really I don't really think that's how that works. We can come back to that. I don't want to go down too much of a tangent, but like
directions. It's like,
well, I mean, I think there is a strong believer that there's a finite amount that people have to say and that people should say, right? And you can't expect to constantly put out like valuable content if you're doing it all the time, right? Because you're just not an infinite content machine, and it's going to be draining on you, and then you're just going to feel less inspired and less creative, and it's just going to be this downward cycle of shit content that gets worse, right? It's just soul crushing, I just don't believe that's how people, I don't know, it's not my, I am kind of more on the side of, you should take some time, get inspired, work on something good, put out content at a pace that at whatever pace is right. Let's get back to the question. We can come back to that if you want. So I would choose one platform to begin with, because as I say, it's just too high maintenance to do it all at once. And then beyond that, like, you really need to look for, it's kind of a cliche, but you need to look for what there isn't, in a sense, because I find this now, if you can scroll on Instagram, you can scroll on YouTube, etc., right? There's just a lot of really similar content, right? And then one person will find a new style or a new way of presenting things, and because everything else has been so overdone, you're just constantly getting these new like breaths of fresh air, which is like the new style of content, right? Mm-hmm. So, a recent trend which you see with like a few fitness people is like this kind of hidden camera style thing where they'll just like do a workout mic'd up, and like it'll be like, oh, this man approached me while I was in the gym and offered to help with this, or something like this, and it'll be like these, like, they're actually really, I find them really horrible, to be honest. These really horrible because of how set up and staged they are, but whilst trying to look the opposite of that. But you see, like, oh, I was struggling with this, and then this man came over and did this and helped, or whatever it is, right? My boyfriend was feeling insecure in the gym, and it's like this, and then she goes and like pats him on the back or something, or like, whatever it is, right? And then like it'll go viral as this, oh yeah, this is how people should be. It's this weird hidden camera style, right? But the reason why that got so much traction, right, is because we were too far the opposite, because everything went too far, kind of, you know,
Staged.
polished stage, etc. Right. So then the new thing appeals to people, right? And you have to try and find a new thing, and that's really difficult, right? It's not something I do. I'm talking here, not. I'm not following my own advice because like it's difficult, right? But I would certainly try to, and I think my main advice for this actually would be, don't scroll, right? Don't scroll through other people's content looking for ideas, because that is the opposite of how you get ideas, right? Scrolling to begin with is just going to kill your creativity, but also like you're creating channels for your thoughts to go down, aren't you? If you're seeing, oh, this person presented this like this, this person used this angle when they were filming what they were making for breakfast, right? And then the first time you think, I'm going to film what I make for breakfast, you're going to go, oh, that angle looked good. Something like that. You're just creating these kind of guidelines for yourself, which I don't think that's how you make original content, right? And I think I found this myself, because right now I just upload really when I want to, but I've certainly been through periods where I've been trying to upload like every week, etc. Trying to keep some kind of schedule, and so you're like, right, I need video ideas, right? So I'll look around, like try and get inspired, right? You're not trying to copy people per se, but you're trying to get inspired, right?
Yeah.
And it just has the complete opposite effect. I think it just entirely just leaves me, I've never found an idea that I was looking for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like only when you're not looking, when going back to when I was studying in uni, I remember my tutors talking to me about maths problems, and people struggling them. And often you find that if you struggle with something and you can't figure it out and you're trying certain ways to do something, the best thing to do is to go to bed, right? Because obviously at night, not just in the middle of the day, but because often you wake up, right? You need to take yourself away from it, and you wake up and suddenly you can view things a little bit differently, and it's just easier to, then go and solve the problem, right? And I think that if you are looking for inspiration through other people's content, it's just going to have the opposite effect. Yeah.
And so when you're coming up with an idea for a new video, what's your process? Is that something that I definitely go blank sometimes, and I'm just like, oh fuck it, let's just do a vlog, So
yeah.
how do you go about like when you're writing out your video ideas?
Yeah. So as I say, I used to try and get some kind of inspiration, watching other content. I realized probably, not really that long ago that was a self-defeating, pastime. Now I just literally try and take time entirely away from work, and I think about what I'm doing myself, and I think you'll probably have moments where you're more like, I'll sit down and think of like 5 video ideas, right? And when I think of 5 video ideas, I'll write them down, and then I'll just go away from them and leave them and come back, because it's not just the idea, but it's how you frame the idea. Like, so for example, you need to put that into a video title, right? And if that title is not succinct and clear and doesn't get the message across, in X amount of characters, then no matter how good the idea is, it's not going to work, right? So like, seize on those moments when I do have ideas, write them down, go away, and then come back and look at how I've written them down. And I think that would actually be better if I phrased it a different way. And then you start tweaking titles, right? And then again, you just need to keep going away, leaving it, coming back. Go live, man. Go live and do whatever you want to do. Do some leisurely shit, right? And then come back. Because I've sat in this office, right, looking at a notepad or notes on the computer, right, and it is not helpful, because I end up like 2-3 hours passing. I'm like, do you know what? I'm just gonna fucking quit YouTube. That's easier right now.
Yeah.
And so like, luckily over over time, I build up a list of video ideas. So I've probably always got a list of like 10, 20 video ideas, right? And then I look at them and I say, right, I'm just going to do these in order. That's what I say. I'll just do these in the order they're written. And then I skip over one. I don't do the first one. And I go, maybe I'll do the second one actually. And then one gets put to the bottom, and it always stays at the bottom. And then once it's been there for so long, I'm like, right, I'm never going to make that video because I'm obviously just not interested in making it enough, right? Because I always keep I'd rather sit there and think of another video than to make that one, right? But as I say, they're finite. I have finite things to say, right? And fitness is not it kind of is an infinite topic, right? In a sense, but
it's definitely one of the easier genres to create content for, because you've got like the pillars, you've got training, then you've got nutrition, and then you've got your schedule, your day-to-day life, then you've got like recipes, and then you can kind of combine all of them and mix and match. So it is one that you can like get a lot of topics from, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that you're not going to run out of topics in that sense, and I think one thing that does make it a little easier is that the gap between the slightly informed and the everyday, your average Joe who's just starting the gym for the first time this January is quite big, right? And you can say a lot of things that actually aren't complex. You don't need to go study like exercise science or anything really to be able to say helpful things. So what I'm saying here, this is a really polite way of saying our actual knowledge is fucking shallow, man. It's really shallow, right? We don't actually know that much, or at least nothing complex whatsoever. It's all extremely simple things. Now, the lucky part is that you only need to know really simple shit to get in really, really good shape. That's probably true of most things. You only need to actually know quite basic surface level information to make good progress. Like, if you're consistent, etc. Right? And so like, it's not that hard to help people. But the flip side of that is like, you can either stay surface level forever. You can either constantly talk about, X grams of protein per day. This exercise is good because of that. Do your lifting before you do your cardio. You can either constantly talk about this surface level shit forever and repeat yourself, which I think might be the lesser evil, but it depends on your own. It depends on your own kind of like interests and your how you approach things, or you can go deeper and deeper and get like nuance, like, this new study came out and this group did this exercise and this group did this exercise and this group had 20% more tricep thickness after 12 weeks. And you can go into the minutia of it. So at some point you have to decide, right? You have also decided this the same as I have, because even though you still do more vlog style content, you still talk about the gym, right?
Yeah.
And so like you have to choose, right? Do I keep talking about the basics? Do I just keep helping this demographic, the demographic of people who just need these fundamentals instilling in them? Or do I go deep? Do I get into the nuance, the nitty gritty of it? Do I start, talking about the exercise science and go deeper